There's been a lot of talk about coming to the end of this 3-year deal for the Chicago street circuit. It sounds like the city wants to potentially re-up for another couple of years, maybe move it away from the July 4th weekend to improve logistical experience for the fans a little bit. But I just want to get your thoughts on how encouraged you are by what we've seen the last 3 years, and do you think we should continue to go back to Chicago? Would you rather us try a city like San Diego? We've even heard Philadelphia might be on the cards, having some conversations there. Do you think there's room for more than one street circuit on the calendar? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite interesting. In my opinion on Chicago, I am a big road course guy. I know a lot of traditional NASCAR fans aren't. I personally love it. I think just the racecraft that we're able to see at the Cup level, at the Xfinity level, and heck, even the Truck Series, when Corey Haim's not leading 99 laps of the race out of 100, they really put on a show. And I think Chicago was one of the best, in my personal opinion. I know the rain, thankfully, didn't mess up this year, but obviously the previous 2 years it did. SVG was probably hoping it didn't rain last year, else he probably would be 4 for 4 or 5 for 5 at Chicago in the street course. But I love the idea of it. I really hope they do consider expanding it. I think it's an absolute great point that's being made. I think you should move it off the July 4th weekend, give it a different time, have better logistics, and it really has done a lot for Chicago's economy, I feel, too. I know the reports came out, I think I'm trying not to pull a number out of thin air. I didn't really look into it as much as I should have, to be honest with you, but I know it was in the millions what it was able to generate over the last couple of years. So if it ain't broke, I guess don't fix it in that sense, right? But there are two places that I would really love to see NASCAR go. So please hear me out, all the viewers. Denver, hear me out. I know you're a regular on this one. And I know Denver and I, we've chatted too on some of the other pre-race shows. There are two places I would really love a NASCAR street course. One is we're going to head to where the IndyCar series is in a couple weeks. Exhibition Place in downtown Toronto. I think that would be awesome in my personal opinion, just because, one, it's only like a 1.8 mile course, so it's not too long, not too short in that sense. There's some high-speed corners as well, 11 turns. But it would be the idea of NASCAR loves to expand their market, right? That's why they were in Mexico City. Now, from a more logistical, I guess, common sense standpoint, if you want to expand in the Americas, you're already in Mexico, go up to Canada. It's only about 300 miles, give or take, from Michigan. It's only 300 miles away from Watkins Glen, the two most northern tracks. Why not go there? Expand that Canada audience as well. I know you have the NASCAR Canada series, but crap, bring the Cup series, bring the Xfinity series up there. Even bring the trucks if you want. You probably only can do one or two or three, not three, but one or two, you know what I mean? So I think that would be really awesome. You can kill two birds with one stone. You can keep a street course race, but you can also expand your global audience, even if it's still in the Americas in the sense. So I recommend NASCAR take a look into going to Exhibition Place in downtown Toronto. I think that would be awesome. Another place which is going to catch a lot of people off guard, I think there's a motorsport that races in this area. It's a street course. It's in America. It's the pinnacle of motorsport in the sense. That's why I'm using quotes. I think NASCAR should try a Las Vegas street course. And I know it's going to be crazy, so I love your reaction there. And just hear me out for a second, right?
All right.
And NASCAR loves to say they want to stay west. A lot of drivers come from west, whether it's Bakersfield, California, so on and so forth. But if you notice in a trend, whether it's late model tracks or even at the top level with Fontana or Auto Club, that's gone. Irwindale, gone. Saugus, gone. All these tracks are dying out. There's not really a lot of tracks as much. If you look at the Cars Tour West schedule, they really go to the same places multiple times because there just isn't a lot of places to go. So if you can stay west, maybe not go all the way to California, you can go to the Las Vegas Strip where Formula One races. Granted, their course is 3.8 miles. Let's shorten it a lot. Let's do 1.8. So I was doing some research into it. You can keep the strip, the Las Vegas Strip, and the sphere in the sense. So you can have like a 1.8 mile course. So you can keep the high speed corners. You could still use the amazing scenery. A lot of people can see it with the strip, with the sphere. You're obviously not going to go as fast as Formula One. And obviously their track is 3.8 versus the 1.8 that I'm proposing here with absolute no money in my pocket to pitch this idea. But it would just be kind of an awesome opportunity. And plus, if you do a double weekend in the sense where you can race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, which is only about 20-25 minutes south of the Las Vegas Strip, I believe, or it might be north. I think it's south, though. You can do the weekend where you pack up your road course car, you pack up your short track car, and you go from Charlotte or wherever you are in North Carolina, head out there, stay there a couple weeks. And I think it just makes more logistical sense. So I think that would be awesome. So those are my two ideas. I think we should go to Toronto, and I think they should go to maybe the Las Vegas street course, obviously what Formula One does, just a lot shorter. And I'll read Denver's comment. Chicago street course should be the OG street course for NASCAR, like Adelaide in the supercars, and make another 2 street courses on the schedule as well. See, I love road courses. One thing I am pro, and I'll let Ben answer this as well. I love the idea of NASCAR's schedule and how they split it up. I feel like if you do like 6 street course, 6 short track, 6 super speedway, 6 whatever, I like that because it shows balance. It shows motorsport. A lot of other series don't do that. Formula One's all road course. IndyCar's mostly road course with the occasional oval. But so I think I love what NASCAR does. It just sucks. I think they have such great courses. You don't want to put too many street courses out there because if COTA loses a date, I will be depressed. I love COTA. Watkins Glen, I'm a New Yorker. I absolutely love Watkins Glen in that sense too. So I would hate to see them lose dates, but I want to hear your thoughts, Ben. Sorry for ranting on, but those are my two.
You're all good. Yeah, no, I think that, I appreciate where Denver's coming from, but I think, when you have a 36 race schedule, I think once you get past 6 courses where you're turning left and right, you're starting to get a little bit road course heavy. And then I think of those 6, if more than 2 of them are street courses, that would mean no more than 3 road courses if you've got 3 street circuits to go with it. So I think that that's probably a little much as well. I think there might be room for a second if Chicago is going to be the OG street course and become a new annual tradition. Who knows? Maybe in 40 years it's as big as the Long Beach Grand Prix is for IndyCar. We'll see. They've got a long way to go to replicate that. But I think that there are a lot of good ideas there. The reason I don't know about Las Vegas is because of the proximity to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and I don't know if you want to keep that on the schedule. Obviously, we go to Chicago now. Chicagoland, as Carson, host of ours video, showed, is starting to get a little overgrown. It's not beyond the point of no return by any means yet, but it would need probably about 6 months of TLC before we thought about bringing that track back. And if we did, maybe we take the street race somewhere else to try to go to a different market. But I'm going to be a hypocrite here because I know that we have races at Dover and Pocono. I know Denny Hamlin was suggesting we should do kind of a street oval where it's just 4 90-degree corners kind of going in a circle there. Xfinity Racing, who's headquartered in Philadelphia's backyard, of course, posted this tweet suggesting a street circuit around Philadelphia City Hall. I don't know how much of this was simply in jest responding to Hamlin there, but there you go. That would maybe be a potential option as well. I've always said racing on Broad Street would be cool, by the stadiums and everything. But if they're serious about these talks with Philadelphia, then I don't know. Xfinity, I guess, has it covered. Maybe they could sponsor the entire weekend. You wouldn't have to worry about that either.
Yeah.
Again, I think that there's a lot of different options that you could come up with here and suggestions that you could put in the box, so to speak. But again, I think what Chicago has done, I'm glad that the weather held off. It's a shame how the Cup Series race ended. And I think, and Denny said this on his podcast today too, they're never going to admit to this, but I can't help but think that I don't know what the worst excuse would be. We didn't see the severity of Cody Ware's accident, or we knew that the rain was coming, and we wanted to make sure that the rightful winner, so to speak, won the race, and we didn't have chaos of drivers on old slick tires on an overtime restart with the rain approaching. I can understand that, but I think in this particular case, it was pretty obvious that the caution needed to be thrown immediately. But again, I'm glad that we got through the weekend without too much weather problems for once here in Chicago. And I think that, again, there are still some logistical issues that need to be ironed out, but I would certainly welcome it back on the schedule for 2026 and beyond. If you do that, maybe you could go to one more like a San Diego. We'll see how deep they get into those talks. I know they want to get back in that Southern California market. There's obviously a big population out there and a big opportunity to expand their reach, especially now that Auto Club's gone. But I think we'll just have to wait and see how the schedule unfolds for 2026. One Yeah, one more comment from Denver here. Toronto is a fantastic place to hold with IndyCar as well, plus Las Vegas street course, fantastic with modifications of F1 Vegas or Belle Isle in Detroit. That's an interesting option there, especially now that IndyCar's taking the race downtown. I don't know if Belle Isle would be make logistical sense for NASCAR Cup or a lower tier series like that. I know, Matthew, you mentioned Canada. Obviously, the Truck Series used to race Mosport, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, before the pandemic, I think, kind of killed that race, unfortunately. But that was always a popular stop on the schedule. So I'm sure our neighbors to the north would love the opportunity to have a truck race back again, or even Xfinity Cup as well. So, yeah, I mean, that could be another option if they're serious about expanding globally. But again, you've already got the Mexico race. I don't know that you want to really go much beyond 2 international races a year, at least for the Cup and Xfinity Series, so to speak. So, again, the schedule is so long and so taxing on the drivers and teams as it is. But adding a second international trip, anything beyond that, I think would be starting to push it a little bit, especially since you've already got a 36 race schedule. But Matthew, if you have any final thoughts on this topic, I'll let you have the final word here, and then we can move on to Indy next.
Yeah, I was going to say, knowing NASCAR, they would probably schedule Mexico City and a Canada race in Toronto back-to-back weeks, just by the way it seems sometimes what they're scheduling. But no, I think you made some great points there, too. It would just be fascinating, and as much as I love the idea of Chicagoland you mentioned, I would hate for it to be the one to replace Chicago. And I think, in my opinion, NASCAR seems to be, or I guess the Chicago Street Course, I think, in my opinion, NASCAR seems to be a little, they're not going to willingly take a date away from a track they own and risk that money to go elsewhere to a track where they don't own. And Denver says, anyway, street racing is the future of NASCAR. I think it could very well be. And I think if the NASCAR EV series, whenever that happens, I think perfect street courses. And if it's a separate thing, it's not going to replace anything. No, we've talked about that many times before. But if you do a small schedule where you're on street courses like that, I think that'd be a perfect opportunity, because I don't think they'll run ovals. I don't think that's really a smart idea. Could you imagine at like one of a short track? I don't think that would work. But if you went to the Chicago street course like Raja and David Reagan and Brent Cruz did for their not tutorial, but like their showcase. So, yeah, I really like the street course racing. I think ever since I joined Grid Network, I've really appreciated more road and street course racing, especially getting to know SVG back before he ever made a NASCAR start. I think that's been a highlight of my time here.
Yeah, I'm gonna slightly disagree. Actually, I could see them at like a Martinsville or Richmond potentially, if that's a new series that gets off the ground, as opposed to like the Daytona Oval or Talladega or a track like that. I don't think I don't know, but the EV technology is there yet to be able to sustain 200 miles an hour wide open at Talladega. But Martinsville, potentially, maybe it could be a lot like Formula E. I think mostly maybe that's how you introduce street racing to NASCAR. I mean, I would think maybe with emissions laws getting a little bit more strict, that might be a little bit easier to work around. But that's maybe why Formula E, has gotten more street races in major cities as well. And then you could still do a couple of traditional road courses and maybe some short ovals to kind of feed both markets with that, despite the fact that the traditional hardcore Facebook fans might say they have no interest in an EV series for NASCAR. Maybe there's somebody out there that would show up to a Martinsville race nonetheless there. But yeah, it's an interesting idea. I think that might be a good way, again, to introduce the sport to people in those cities, bring the sport to them, so to speak, give them a taste of it through an EV series, and then maybe they become a fan for life and they start coming out to Cup races after that. Who knows?
Hey, I mean, Flow Racing maybe could have a contract like they do ARCA or the Cars Tour as well. I think Kevin Harvick's Kern County Raceway would be a perfect oval for an EV series. Just to introduce them to the West Coast in a sense, but also introduce them. I think California is more pro EV than a lot of other NASCAR states, so I guess we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, it's all talk right now between you and I, but maybe we look back in the YouTube archives 5 years from now and we could be having a completely different conversation.
Yeah, no doubt.